Hello everyone, my name is Gabby and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super review. This time we're reviewing episode 37. Vegeta is up against Cabba, the Saiyan from Universe 6. The two of them are equally matched in base form, so Vegeta tells Cabba to go Super Saiyan, to which Cabba apologizes saying he doesn't know how to. Can Vegeta teach him? This pisses Vegeta off, who then transforms and starts slowly beating Cabba down. When he threatens to, after the battle, destroy Cabba's home planet and his family, Cabba's anger at this makes him become a Super Saiyan for the first time. Now transformed, Cabba seemingly gets the upper hand in the fight, until Vegeta showcases his blue head form and beats Cabba with it in one hit. And once the fight is over, Vegeta berates Cabba for seemingly giving up, telling him to remember his Saiyan pride and to one day attempt to surpass even him. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, first of all, the fight between Vegeta and Cabba was actually really enjoyable. They used a lot more sort of hand-to-hand combat and felt like they were using a lot more kind of realistic martial arts choreography, even if it's not necessarily realistic at all. And they seem to use a lot of kind of slow motion to really sort of capture everyone's movement, and as a result I felt like the fight felt a lot more like a fight and less just sort of mindless punching and mindless throwing beams at each other. I also did actually really enjoy the idea of with Vegeta as this sort of mentor role in the trying to get Cabba stronger. I mean, I'll be honest, when I first heard about this idea, I thought it was going to seem a bit out of character for Vegeta, but I feel like the episode itself gave a pretty good explanation as to why he did this and as to why he wouldn't be like this with anyone else. In it, the only other Saiyan he's like full-blooded Saiyan he's met is Goku, and he doesn't really like Goku that much. He just gets on his nerves, so he wouldn't really try to mentor him. Whereas Cabba is a full-blooded member of his own race, the race that he is the prince of, or he was the prince of, so it does almost kind of make sense for him wanting Cabba to be as strong as possible and is like the best that he can possibly be. Also, Super Saiyan Blue. Vegeta actually finally gives that, actually for the first time in Super, actually gives the form a semi-official name. I mean, before this it was called Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan in all the merchandise, but Goku and Vegeta never actually used that term, ever. But Super Saiyan Blue was a thing that seemed to come from Toyotara's manga adaptation, but they seemed to put it in mostly just because Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan is a complete mouthful of a name, and if they would keep doing it, they would probably just keep biting their tongues. As for what I didn't like about this episode, first of all, I kind of feel like Cabba's Super Saiyan transformation was a bit too easy. Do you guys remember when Goku had to watch his best friend get brutally murdered before he could be angry enough to transform? I mean, I know the series itself made the transformation gradually just easier as time went on, but with Gohan and Goten and Trunks, at least you could have used the excuse that they're half human, and maybe that human side just makes the transformation incredibly easy to get to. But Cabba is a full pure-blooded Saiyan. He doesn't have that excuse, and the way he got the transformation was just having Vegeta threaten to kill his family. I mean, obviously that's a pretty big deal, but at the same, it makes sense for him to get angry at that, but at the same time, angry enough for him to transform? That just seems so easy. If all he really needed to do was have someone threaten to kill his family, it makes you wonder why it took him so long to transform in the first place. I mean, this is somewhat alleviated in that at this point Super Saiyan isn't such a big deal anymore, in that there are so many steps ahead of that. But I still kind of wished that this episode could have made the Super Saiyan transformation feel like a big dramatic event at this point, as opposed to just something that characters just get for plot reasons. The easier it is for a character to obtain it, the more it really reduces the impact of the original legend that was built up throughout the entire Frieza arc. And then there's the part that basically this isn't really a criticism of the episode itself, but rather just something that I wanted the episode to do, and then it didn't end up doing it. And that was, I kind of wanted this episode to try and sort of showcase the differences between Universe 6's Saiyans and Universe 7's Saiyans. And that, do you guys remember at the beginning when Cabba is horrified and finding out that the Universe 7 Saiyans, first of all, destroy their own home planet, and second of all, go around and destroy other planets? I really wanted him in this episode to kind of maybe, call Vegeta out on it, or at least be try to sort of investigate more as to what made the Saiyans so different, but in this case that didn't really seem to be an issue at all. In fact, Cabba seems to like Vegeta, and kind of almost having a sort of Vegeta sensei, and teach me how to be stronger and all that kind of stuff. And I sort of would have preferred it if, maybe Cabba didn't like Vegeta, or Goku, or the Universe 7 Saiyans, because maybe they don't care enough about justice or something like that. I thought that would have been a bit more interesting because that would have showcased a bit more of the flaws of those two characters as opposed to having another person who just sits around and talks about how Goku and Vegeta are the coolest things since sliced bread because they're just so strong. But with everything seeming to hint that Goku and Vegeta are actually going to visit the Universe 6's Saiyan's home planet at some point, perhaps those ideas will be explored more then. I really hope so. In fact, I just hope that these ideas are actually explored as opposed to just being glossed over. So next episode, Vegeta is going to be facing the final opponent of Universe 6, the legendary assassin Hit. And, I'll be honest, gonna do my predictions here. I guess it is pretty obvious that Vegeta is most likely going to lose this match. But I do want that to happen, mostly just because Vegeta has gotten 3 wins in a row, which even for one character, that is pretty excessive, I've got to say. Even if he did end up hijacking one of those wins from another character. But yeah, we've got the final opponent for Universe 6, which is kind of crazy. If this is going in the same pace as the other fights are going to be, if shit doesn't get real and the entire tournament doesn't just collapse by the end, this is going to be a very short arc. Which makes you wonder, what are they going to do after this? So that was Dragon Ball Super episode 37. By Super standards, this was a really good episode, but I'll be completely honest, I wasn't necessarily expecting good, I was expecting great. I just had some expectations of this episode that were a little bit different to what ended up occurring. And I guess I can reserve my judgment on that a little bit because these ideas might be explored later on, but I was still a little disappointed that some of those things didn't end up occurring. But either way, it was still a good episode and I'm still really looking forward to the next one. So this is Gabby, signing out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye guys!